What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second, hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us anywhere and everywhere at My Cowboys Family, and of course, hop in the Discord. Link for that's in the description box down below.
Oh, yeah, guys, the finale of the week. Not 1 week, not two, three full weeks, guys. Again, we were off for a week, basically, family vacation, also COVID.
And what a wonderfully spicy way to wrap things up as far as our Dallas Cowboys offseason continues, right? And guys, we're officially in the home stretch because tomorrow's not only the anniversary of MCF here, My Cowboys Family, the channel as you know it, but we are, like we said, only a few short weeks away now
training camp
from watching our Cowboys, so can't wait to get into it tonight.
And now, again, remember, I was going to say that on top of the COVID, the family stuff, also no real information on the Cowboys, let's be honest, the last 3 weeks or so. So anything you hear out there, I hear a lot of rumors, a lot of this and that, a lot of BS. We keep it real here. So there are a couple things to discuss tonight out of the last 3 days of Dallas Cowboy news that we weren't on here because there wasn't much. We combine it all and we're going to give it to you here in a probably under hour stream of actual news, info, and updates on our Cowboys. So we'll get going on that and kind of solidify some news that we kind of expected as well. But we'll discuss that all that and more here tonight on My Cowboys Family. But
That's right.
We have, of course, some people to shout out as we close out and crown some champions tonight at the end of this quickie stream in a way.
So make sure to hit like, subscribe, hit the bell, follow us anywhere and everywhere at My Cowboys Family. Hop in Discord as well. Links in the description box down below.
Yeah. We also got to shout out those people that...
Yeah, I was going to say something else real quick. That's fine.
Go
no, I was going to say make sure to check out our shorts as well. Fine.
Yeah, of course. Always look at our shorts. No, that sounds dirty. But yeah, definitely check out the shorts videos. That's how another way of keeping up on stuff. Where there's Des Bryant's son out there running routes, making catches, or the Cowboys offseason workouts, some other fun stuff and more. You give your thoughts and views on that as well. Now, let's get to the news, info, and update side of things. But before we even can get to that part of things, let's give out the big shout outs on those that rep our channel here. For basically the last 3 weeks, we're going to have some new champions. I'm telling you right now, we're going to have some new champions starting tomorrow as we get real close to training camp. So let's kick it off with the shout-outs to those that run the boards right now, like the man, McLovin, who is our sponsor of the week. Yes, back-to-back weeks out there in the sponsor week side of things. And also the Cash App King up there. Big shout-out to the man, McLovin. But I have a feeling that's changing after these 3 weeks. We'll discuss that in a minute. We got the man from Canada, Godless Manitoban, who took over the Stream Boss a couple days ago. Big shout outs to Godless. And of course, you got that membership side of things, the gifted memberships. Big time shout out to Jason Renfro, the Dominator. 7 out of the last 8 weeks, Jason Renfro has been running the show. Oh, in the gifted memberships. Oh, jumping into membership as well. We got Mr. Tornado in the house. Back in that navy blue crew.
Right. Shout
Good
out
to see you back in there.
Always. Go Cowboys. Much love. And by the way, thank you. He is one of our active Discord members there. So again, guys, make sure to hop in there for your 24/7, 365, 366. Technically, it's a leap year this year.
This year, yeah.
Right? Everything Dallas Cowboys there. And, of course, a wonderful, little very supportive community in there as well.
I'll throw Mr. Tornado up on that board. But I do want to say, gifting memberships, right? You can, once you're in the membership, like Tornado is, you can also gift memberships. And right now, our champion for the last, I guess, in the last 2 months, the last 8 weeks, 7 out of those 8 weeks, it's been Mr. Jet Li in the house, a.k.a. Jason Renfrew. You guys know him. He's a dominator, one of the all-time greats here. And he's repping it in the gifting side of the board. So he has done that. And he's also trying to go for another continuous streak. As you can see, though, the man Tyrone Church has been gifted a membership by the man who just jumped in the membership, Mr. Tornado.
Tornado, thank you so much, man. Ooh. Again, appreciate you, of course, for not just jumping in the membership, but showing the love to the MCF fam here.
Yeah, I guess a way of dropping the love here, and one of the best ways of really helping out the channel. Showing support to our side of things, but also to some lucky random winner of a membership for a month. And as we get closer to training camp, new emojis are coming up. I should have put in that 9 or 1 for Harley Dad, but much love to Mr. Tornado, who gifted that membership to Tyrone Church. Congrats to him. As Tornado gets on that board 2 times right there. I'll explain and update that in a minute. And speaking of, like I said, Jason Renfro, Jet Li 44, 7 out of 8 weeks of domination. But that could change because there are some new leaders at the buzzer. The last night here, this is kind of like a Fan Friday too. So we're going to give extra special shout outs too. But remember this, we got, the gifting board, one of the best ways to drop the love. You just see Tornado, who's dropped 1 gifting membership the last 3 weeks, obviously. He just jumped in it now. Jet Li is in second place. Is in third place. Tornado's in 4th and 3rd. You got Jet Li, who's gifted 2 memberships. Then you got Harley Dad, who's gifted 5 memberships. And the man who stays skeptical, 6 gifted memberships. He is currently the leader by 1 over Harley Dad, by 4 over Jet Li, 5 over Tornado. And whoever wins that tonight, whoever takes it tonight is the champion for at least 1 more week, maybe 2 or 3, depends how many streams we have and how much news is out there, right? So you never know how long you reign supreme. Big shout outs to everybody on that side of things. As far as the leaderboard, Skeptical Fan has the inside track to be our gifting champion. Now, as far as this Cash App thing and the overall board for the last 3 weeks combined, man, it's been ups and downs. It's been all arounds. McLovin, Trent M. A lot of people have been rocking the leaderboards here. Skeptical Fan, Harley Dad. I know we had a couple other people, whether it's on the After Dark side, like Chill Pill, who actually took over for like a day and a half on the overall board, and on the Cash App side, Harley Dad, Sco, a lot of people, Jet Li, everybody in the mix here. But yesterday on our After Dark special, had a lot of drops there and some big takeovers, because right now the overall leader on the board try to take over the McLovin spot, and the overall leader on the Cash App board, same person. You know, because he's in our star level membership, the man from Australia, repping that star for everything. Not Trent M, Lincoln Kane. Lincoln Kane, big time supporter here when it comes to the membership side mainly here, but hey, he dropped it in the After Dark, and he has taken control of the overall board and the Cash App board. So we may see a sweep on that side of things. While Godless Manitobans holds down 47 points. It's interesting because they're not the biggest fans of each other, but they're repping that star. And of course, like I said, the gifting board. That's really the big one up in the air right now. As many people in line to maybe try to take over that championship spot there. We'll see who wins it this week. Does Jet Li go 8 out of 9 weeks? The Skeptical take over? He had 3 months of domination when we kicked that off. Or do we have a brand new winner? Tornado, Harley Dad, we shall see. Either way, a lot of things to break down tonight when it comes to that side of things. A big shout out to you guys. But also let me describe different ways to drop the love here on our YouTube. This is our main YouTube channel for those on the After Dark session. And there's a bunch of ways. Of course, there's the super chats, which are always, available there with the little $. You also have the thanks button, which is on every video, after it ends or post or we upload or shorts, you can drop the love there. That counts on the board. We add it up. There's also, of course, the I got confused. We also have the just jumping into the membership side of things, like Tornado just did. We had other people that jumped in there a couple of days ago, right? Harley Dad, Cyanide, NDM Boogie, Seabass back in the over everything level. Appreciate you guys there. And then the gifting side of things. This is all through the YouTube side of things. But yeah, you can gift memberships as you just seen Tornado do that. But there's 4 other ways, which is mainly on the After Dark side of things, but you can do it here too when it comes to trying to take it over that Cash App board, the championship, and the overall board as well. But baby, how's the Cash App ways work? You can kind of make a dent in there.
Of course you have, like Mr. MCF just said, the Cash App when he signed My Cowboys Family, the Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family, the regular PayPal link, and of course, last but not least, the Streamlabs link lets your comment show up on screen just like a super chat does.
And also, we got to shout out those in the big levels here, and not just the top shelf today, because this is kind of like a Fan Friday. There's also, the silver level gets shout outs tonight as well. But before we get there, I did want to say, because it is the last day of the month as well, kind of funny because it ends our After Dark monthly kind of numbers as well. But this is also the end of the week. So we're going to have some champions, but that's important because, as you can see, we have a monthly, and now we're going to have our June monthly jersey raffle coming up next week sometime for this past month. Anybody in the star level or over everything level membership are automatically entered. Everybody in the star gets 1. Everybody in the over everything. Right now, Seabass, he gets 2 level, raffle entries, and then the weekly winners, which right now is McLovin and whoever wins tonight. It could be Lincoln Kane. So those would be the people added into as bonus entries as a weekly winner. Try to win one of these sewn and stitched fantastic jerseys. A lot of choices. I mean, I'm hearing we even have Tyler Guyton could be available out there,
Yeah.
That's usually not available for rookies, but if you're confident number 60, well, he's there. He's there and available. So a lot of choices, some new choices, new and old, different styles, old school players, Hall of Famers and current players, rookies even. So yeah, a lot of different
old
options.
New school, just came in school.
Yeah.
So
different styles, the whole thing.
Whatever flavor of Dallas Cowboy representation you'd like, we got you. So
and
again,
let's do them shout outs. You know what I mean? Let's time for the shout outs on all levels. Like in the silver level, you got the man A. Lavelle. And a Fan Friday, we give the Fan Friday shout outs to the silver level members. You got the Navy Blue crew, of course, but you got the silver level. We get the shout outs on Fan Friday, and then you got the nightly shout outs for the star level and over everything level members. Who are they, baby?
Of course, you have Skeptical Fan, always staying skeptical, Jet Lee 44, Dwayne Broussard, the top dog, Lincoln Kane, Mr. LC, The Lunatic, and over everything.
Ooh.
Seabass.
I knew that was coming. Mr. Over Everything, back in it again, and he'll be on the show sometime soon. I think we were trying to make something today, but I don't think we were able to do it. So it'll be next week. You'll see him pop in there and give his 2 cents on our Cowboys.
Down our Dallas Cowboys. So,
oh yeah.
And again, thank you everybody here chilling, hanging with us. I'm going to go ahead, hop in the chat, do some shout outs. And yes, if you had your eyes and ears open, you might know one of the bigger things we have to discuss in a little bit here regarding our Dallas Cowboys.
Look at that thumbnail.
Some podcasting, some friction, maybe.
Yeah, some holdout here for the training camp. All great news.
And I really want to hear everyone's thoughts because Mr. MCF and I kind of, had our own personal little back and forth, and we kind of joked like, man, we should have saved this for the stream. Not even in a negative way, just in a discussion way, But anyway, Seabass, the man himself in the house. What's up? Much love.
Yeah.
Asmodeus, all the way from Tennessee representing. Thank you for hanging with us. Rolando Rodriguez, all the way from South Texas. You got, of course, the man Tornado dropping those emojis. Skeptical Fan, always. Staying skeptical.
Always.
Scorpio, much love. It's all right. We're going to be here when you'll be right back.
Yep.
Nate Rosario, what's up? Thankfully, I don't think either one of us has ever suffered through sleep paralysis. Thank goodness. But I have to admit, we're not into the Marvel DC stuff, so we will probably never watch Swamp Thing.
But hey, hold on a second. I've watched Swamp Thing when I was a kid.
Okay, but again, I think we're talking the modern iteration.
I know
of
the
Swamp
TV
Thing.
show and the movie. Listen, back in the 80s, it was
not
cool.
Not just some of the people on your
I'm not a big CGI
late night internet.
I'm not a big CGI fan of the new stuff, but I watched the old Swamp Thing. That was one of my favorite characters. Oh, that was fun. But you don't know about that, baby. That was
I do
that's
not.
Early 80s, mid 80s kind of fun right there.
All good. I'll leave that fun to you guys.
Thank you.
Tyrone Church. Shout out to you as well. Thanks for rocking with us.
On that membership.
Revelation Journalist. Yes. It's going to be an interesting situation to see how everything breaks down as far as who actually gets paid in Dallas out of the people that we're still waiting to see get paid, right?
Really strange right now.
Raul, what's up? Shout out to you as well. Let me keep rolling back here. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Hello and hi.
Yeah.
Texas Twister, stay safe out there on the road. Stephen White, much love to you. Fire. Freedom first, not first today. Still hanging with us. MCF After Dark, who's that?
Gotta check him out.
Lee Side Herald here, of course, repping our Cowboys. The only way he knows how. I think that's it. No, I'm just going back and checking. I think that's everyone here.
I do want to give a couple extra special shout outs, by the way. Since we were in here, Friday, Saturday, so I want to make sure I shout out a couple people here on the After Dark session. So let me big time shout outs to Harley Dad on the After Dark side, Chill Pill, who actually took over the overall board here for a short time, and Harley Dad also at the top. I mean, they're at the top of the boards here right now, but we have, of course, Mr. Lincoln Kane in the lead. Sco971 with the love. Lincoln Kane, like I said, had the love. Homegrown Cowboy repping it here. Gloria also repping it. Multi-Super Kalo, Super Cockle. We have fun names for everybody. Dave, Silence of the Lambs, Brown in the house. Much love to him. And Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. You guys all dropped the love in here, during the After Dark sessions. And, of course, Tornado with the membership, not just entering it, but also gifting it tonight on this show here as we figure out who's going to win this whole thing on the gifting side. Anyways, I just want to give a couple shout-outs. Any last shout-outs in the chat before we get rolling? Because tonight should have been a Cowboy Quickie and a Cowboys chat. But since we missed this, our 3 days of Cowboy news, I guess it could run into a chat.
Yeah, we also feel like we jinx ourselves a little bit sometimes when we call them Cowboys Quickie. Those are always the ones that end up going for like 2 hours plus.
Yeah.
So
last one went like an hour and 45 minutes. A quickie, right? Yeah, no.
All right, well, let's quickly get to the things that we have to discuss, right? A lot of, again, Cowboy Direct news today.
Not much NFL news the last 3 days even. It's more Dallas Cowboys, but it's not much of it.
In the offseason, guys.
Yes. The quiet portion of things, thank goodness. The quiet for the Cowboys as far as the players is good. We wish we had some moves made. I mean, we worked out 4 guys from the USFL and signed none of them. We have 88 roster spots taken, 2 spots open with a third because we have a player that is international program. So we got 3 spots open on this team and still have not signed anyone. So nothing big there as far as any new players. Got that out the way for you guys. Yeah. But there are some updates on our current players that are very important. And also, let me give a little update on how about the schedule. Yeah, actually schedule. Why don't we look at this real quick because our hated rivals from the NFC East, the team I hate the most, just growing up with the Buddy Ryan and the Bounty Bowl and fuck the Eagles. Did I do it too early with the cursing? But the Eagles are going to be wearing their Kelly Green kind of throwback uniforms versus the Jacksonville Jaguars on Week 9. That's November 3rd. Interesting because then they go all the way Week 17, as you can see there. We go on the road in Philly, in our really only one cold game we got. And that's where they're going to be wearing their old school Kelly Green throwbacks against the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. So that's where it comes in there. I guess that's the only reason we're reading discussing or looking up anything of the Eagles. I couldn't care less what they do for the most part. We just got to beat them straight up. But it's going to be the second to the last game of the year in Philly.
You in your new jersey. We'll beat you in your old jersey. And we'll beat you in every jersy in between.
And in Philly as well. So it's going to be nice and chilly. They're going to be wearing their Kelly Green throwbacks. We might be wearing something special that game, too. Maybe our icy whites.
Flex on them a little bit with our own Dallas Cowboy history, right?
But either way, Week 17, Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. That is going to be the Cowboys will be, I'm not sure yet what they're going to be wearing, but the Eagles will be wearing their throwback 80s Kelly Green kind of jerseys there. Just want to throw that in there. As far as schedule news is concerned now.
And as soon as we know what days our Dallas Cowboys are going to be wearing some of their more special uniforms and things like that, of course, we will let you guys know.
You can pretty much bet. You can pretty much bet when you look at the schedule. That game against the Giants, I'm pretty sure that Thanksgiving game, they're wearing their throwbacks, if I'm recalling that correctly. Yeah. Probably. We're wearing our throwbacks. So get ready for that, the Thanksgiving throwbacks going on there. And then they got the icy white color rush. Mm-hmm. That could be the Eagle game there, Sunday, December 29th. It could definitely be a lot of other games as well.
I also could see it, since they're wearing those throwbacks, that the Cowboys actually go more the opposite. And just wear our usual like white, like our
we can do that too,
traditional, like the brand of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, the
regular white jerseys,
really the home or away color white uniforms that we usually wear. But icy white, the color rush, you never know, have not got those yet from the Cowboys release. But we do know our rookies. Really quickly, I just wanted to throw out there, not just this entire roster here, but really, as you can see, the drafted players, the main guys, not the undrafted guys, but the main guys. A couple days ago, they took their rookie pictures for fun. They do the media day stuff, and it was kind of released. And we have guys up there like our first pick there, Tyler Guyton, number 60, which, by the way, that jersey is available. Mm-hmm. So if you are one of the winners for one of ththese jerseys, you can grab number 60. Unfortunately, no number 94 or 56 or any other numbers available yet. No BB. Not yet, but if when that becomes available, and it should be soon.
Keep an eye out as soon as it is.
You might see us wearing number 56, but number 60 is definitely available. Our first round pick amongst other current players. But they have they're holding little license plates right in front of their photos, and Tyler Guyton's holding up his nicknames or whatever it may be. His is the guy, like as in Guyton, right? You got Mr. Kinlan over here, Marshawn Kinlan. Nealand. He's KN9 knee, right? L4ND. Nealand is his there. You got Big Coop, of course, Cooper Beebe. You got Marist going there. That's his little, his name is going by Marist Luafau, number 35. You got Seatbelt, number 41 there, as in Kalen Carson. You got Top Flournoy, number 18. Then you got Nate Thomas. They have he's got It's Nate is his little nickname there for now. And then our last pick of the draft, defensive tackle from all. I mean, I like this guy. I think he's a little underrated there. Auburn, Mr. Rogers. His is Mr. 313, as in the area code there. I do want to touch on one guy in this group here, specifically on defense, Kalen Carson, seatbelt, number 41. I uploaded some shorts on him, and if you guys checked it out, he's doing some really good training right now, trying to stay sticky as possible as he's getting ready to enter training camp with his specialist coach, not from the Cowboys, but his off-season coach, Coach Riley, known guy, helps cornerbacks. So rookie cornerback Kalen Carson's been working specifically on his press technique, which again, as the seatbelt, he wants to make sure he stays sticky. He's going to stay on you. And in press coverage, much better than zone. He's known to be much better in press than in zone. So he's kind of working on perfecting this for training camp, being in a more press coverage situation under Zimmer. It might have been some of the tips that when they broke, from the mandatory minicamp, they might have broke from that. But they probably did that saying, hey, we want to use you maybe in a specialized situation. Yeah. Zimmer might want to use more press this year. Kalen Carson, make sure you get that shit locked down. And I think that's what he was trying to do here before training camp. So I'm looking forward to see what Kalen Carson, number 41, is going to be up to. And
it sounds like some friendly advice he was given during OTAs or something.
By Zimmer,
hey,
probably, right?
This is what I want to see. This is what I want you to do.
Regardless of the circumstance, situation, issues, this is what Coach Riley said about seatbelt, about number 41, Kalen Carson. He said, quote, regardless of the circumstance, situation, and adversity, you must find a way to persevere. That is the only way you find who you are as a person. When you find out who you find out who you are, nothing can stop you or prevent you from succeeding. So that's the mindset that he's trying to teach and guide Kalen Carson, our rookie, number 41, as we enter training camp here in a couple of weeks. And I say a couple of weeks, it's really like 3.5 weeks, still a little bit away. But, hey, we're under a month. There we go. Now, on defense, you're going to have Kalen Carson, just went on, talk about him for a minute. But I do want to talk about our entire defense on coverage-wise for a minute, because when you look at PFF and their numbers when it comes to coverage and when it matters the most, which would be, of course, that fourth quarter coverage stats, overtime coverage stat leaders from PFF, the analytical side of things. Of course, the great Jets coverage guy, Sauce Gardner. Again, this is when it's down to the nitty-gritty in the fourth quarter or overtime. Sauce Gardner is number one when it comes to the allowed completion percentage of 36.7% is the best in the league. Sauce Gardner also only allowed 76 yards in the fourth quarter and overtime when it comes to any kind of coverage stat. Rasul Douglas, when it comes to his coverage with the Packers, again, this goes back since 2022, so this is for the last 2 seasons, 22-23. Rasul Douglas, passer rating of 30.4 when he's, attacked by the quarterbacks. Again, this is in the fourth quarter and overtime, the most important portion of the game. We do have a Dallas Cowboy, though, on this list, and that is interceptions. When it matters most in the fourth or overtime, DaRon Bland, 6 interceptions in the fourth quarter or overtime in 2022 and 2023 combined. So those are your coverage stat leaders. Yes, Sauce Gardner locking down in the fourth quarter in completion percentage and yards allowed. Rasul Douglas in passer rating in the fourth quarter and overtime. But our DaRon Bland, again, Kalen Carson added to the mix here. We'll get some more picks by other guys as well. But DaRon Bland, currently fourth quarter overtime, the last 2 years, number 1 in the NFL. So I want to throw that out there defensively. Now, a couple quick notes on some workout guys here, situations going on, and I want to start with the injured guys from last year. Basically the entire group of guys that had their ACL tears almost all together. David Durden, wide receiver, was not going to make the team. At best, he was going to be a practice squad guy. Yeah. He got a torn ACL, as well as DeMarvin Overshown and John Stevens, the tight end, in the same game. Basically the same day. They tore their left ACLs, all 3 of them, basically within a span of 5 days last August. Overshown and Stevens tore it together in the game, unfortunately, against Seattle. And David Durden, about 5 days later, tore his in practice. So here's the thing, though. A very unexpected brotherhood between these 3 guys from this post-traumatic growth from these injuries. The reason I'm saying that is because wide receiver David Durden, who might not even make the team this year, but he is getting married next week, and he barely knew 2 of his groomsmen, which are now DeMarvin Overshown and John Stevens, because they've been working out together, rehabbing together to get back, to the field. And that's
the way that the team bonds during practice and stuff. That's basically what these 3 gentlemen did, because guess what? They were spending hours upon hours upon hours together, days, weeks, months on end. So I'm just saying, it makes a lot of sense that they were able to bond through that, along with the fact that obviously they are Dallas Cowboys, more Dallas Cowboys than not,
Yeah, but very unexpected, though, because, again, David Durden, wide receiver, John Stevens, tight end, guys that we didn't even know if we're going to make the team. We know Stevens was going to, but David Durden wasn't.
Guys in different positions that wouldn't normally
on defense,
spend that much time together in that way.
You got Overshown on the defensive side, that all 3 of them worked out together within 5 days. They tore their ACLs, same injuries, same rehab structure, and now they're best friends, So that's great to see the camaraderie building, whether you're on the field, off the field, rehabbing. It's good to see the Cowboys having
are getting along.
Yeah, listen, yes, these guys are getting along. Other guys may have issues, but we'll talk about that. I want to discuss that with all you guys here on MCF. But unexpected brotherhood from these 3 guys. Now, what about on the offensive line? We got Terrence Steele, and again, I put up a couple videos of him first pushing a big truck and then pulling this same truck on top of like a roof of a parking garage. Looks in front of a hospital, sports medicine center. But Terrence Steele, guys, remember he had the ACL tear 2 years ago, right? A little issue last year. In my opinion, he had some major issues last year, especially in dual blocking with Zach Martin. But the best version of Terrence Steele is needed for the Cowboys this year in 2024. And at least with his grinding he's doing right now, it seems like he's full all in on this, which is good to see. Because I don't have the biggest confidence in Terrence. Never really have. I think he had one great year, and then he tore his ACL last year. It looked like he could still keep going that way, but after the tear, coming back from the tear last year, still a little slower than we wanted him to see. We'll see. This year's going to be really big in determining what his next step is, because I'm also hearing, because of his contract, there's a way out of this contract if he's not the guy we need him to be at the right tackle spot. Okay. So he's putting the extra work now to make sure he needs to, because we need him to complete that offensive line situation for us. So obviously good to see him out there busting his ass, pulling trucks, pushing trucks. It definitely is going to, I'm assuming it's going to help that ACL a lot more.
Look, the reality is very, as far as I have known in the history of the NFL, there's never been a player who comes back from an ACL injury and looks just as good as they did before the injury, right? There's always that period of getting back to form. The one thing I'm going to remind us, because I remember at the end of the season, we were all kind of like, oh man, that's right. He played every single snap for our Cowboys. He was the one offensive line player who basically was out on the field from week 1,
even with
day
that torn
1,
ACL,
all the way to week 18 and beyond and all that.
Yeah,
so,
after coming back from the tear, you know that he can handle it.
So
the thing is, he needs to.
That's what I'm trying to say. That
get better.
Physically speaking, he's able to be out on the field, healthy and consistent, even if it wasn't the same level that he was performing at before. So this makes me feel very confident that he will be able to find that same kind of rhythm again.
Yeah. So, and again, that's good news.
And if not, like you said, contractually speaking, we do have an out. So if he doesn't quite measure up to snuff, we'll find someone who will.
We do know that, again, the probability is like, we got to take some kind of cap hit. But it's going to open up probably like $7-8 million on the cap next year instead of paying that full $12 million or whatever it is we probably owe him. So we'll see what happens. We shall see. But, of course, we're hoping Terrence Steele comes back better than ever and can complete that offensive line, which right now we're going to have 2 rookies possibly in there, or at least a rookie and a couple undrafted guys from last year and even this year in the mix. So we'll see what happens with that offensive line. But Terrence Steele, Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, those are 3 guys that, are going to be starters no matter what. Terrence Steele got to show up this year much better than he did last year. Now, one other guy who was out there busting his ass, and he's still working hard. But there's a little bit of, we'll talk about the little kind of issues we're hearing about. But it is Micah Parsons. He's never stopped grinding, even if he hasn't been in Japan, even if he's done some stuff on his time off, which people get mad at him for taking time out to go to Japan. It was an NFL-sponsored thing, him and C.J. Stroud. But the point is, he's, of course, back. We know that he's kind of missed some of the OTA stuff. He missed a little bit. He was back there for minicamp. But kind of try and get the flow of the new defense from Zimmer. Mm-hmm. He's out there now busting his butt there in New York. Like I've said before, he's back at Dolo's Fitness in New York, which is where he does a lot of his working out in recent months. And he's out there working out with one of his, I wouldn't say his teammates, but a guy who,
former college teammate, right?
Well, not about his former college teammate, but he's definitely a guy who plays linebacker for Penn State. So it's a guy who's playing for his school at his position. So he's up there, Micah Parsons in New York, also working out with Penn State linebacker Abdul Carter, again at this Dolo's Fitness in New York. Just so you guys understand, Abdul Carter has been compared sometimes to Micah Parsons. All right, they both wear number 11. But Micah, when he left, he took over number 11. Could also find a similar role, I'm saying, assuming he goes to the NFL in the draft next year in 2025. Could it be with the Cowboys? Who knows? But linebacker, is that a need next year? It may be. Eric Hendricks, we don't know what's going to happen. So
the point is, Carter's looking like baby Micah, and it makes a lot of sense considering
they're working together,
they're both coming from the same school, running the same program.
Yep,
like it's of course it's going to produce, you imagine, similar results at linebacker. But Carter sounds like he's able to measure up in some ways to the hole that Micah left once he, of course,
went to the Cowboys, right? And in Penn State, he's taking over that Micah role kind of deal there. This is what Lance Dean posted this on IG, and we posted it here in MCF as well. So if you want to check it out, you can see what he's doing. But then Micah had his own kind of
know what Micah's been doing during this offseason.
Listen, the thing is, somebody else spoke about Micah Parsons, and it was Malik Hooker. Now, I just want to clarify something here. I did post what he said. If you guys missed it, he was, listen, some people are going to say the media was responsible for this. I don't like some content creators out there are saying like this is all the media's fault and stuff. They just can't face it. Hey, sometimes the Cowboys are going to have some issues. Sometimes the Cowboys are going to have some arguing back and forth. We just don't like to see it in the public. Yeah. And unfortunately, we're seeing this a little bit in the public eye. At least it's being shown that way. Although I'm going to reiterate, you have to look at the question and the question in full context. But even if you look at the question in full context, basically being asked, what are your thoughts on Micah Parsons and his player podcast? And other player podcasts as well. He's not the only one that does it because you got Brock Hoffman doing it. But Micah's the leader on defense, and Micah is always on his podcast deal I think Monday or Tuesday, or Monday I think or Tuesday. Weekly. He always a weekly podcast throughout the season talking about this or that, or what do you think, what he did good or didn't do good with the defense. He talks about his buddies or upcoming opponents or whatever it may be. A lot of talking from Micah. We've always said we're not really big fans of Micah being on podcasts. We're not big. I know you brought up when this whole thing came out, like the whole thing he had on First Take, that he had made a deal to go on there last year, not this past year. Yeah. But so basically 2 years ago.
Doing his own podcast thing,
he was going to be on First Take, not First Take. I'm sorry, on the the thing with Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of the show,
And
which
you
is
know
now
what? Who
broken up
cares?
too.
The
Shannon
point-
Sharp and all that.
The point is that he was supposed to be on their show, and then the second that the Cowboys had a bad game, he basically bowed out and never showed up ever again.
So
not a great look.
yeah,
Being
but
real.
he's on Bleacher Report. He's running his podcast on there. So that's where, again, our safety, number 28, Malik Hooker, who's going to be our starting safety back there, free safety again this year, was asked.
Undisputed. Thank you, James.
Undisputed, yes. Undisputed. And now is with again, now no more Shannon Sharp. He's
Exactly.
at ESPN now. But it was with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
But the point is that now that Micah is doing his own podcast fully last year on his own through Bleacher Report, Malik Hooker was asked, what are your thoughts on Micah and his podcast that he's running? And he was on this show called All Facts, No Breaks podcast. Malik Hooker said that basically, I'm paraphrasing here, that Micah Parsons should be maybe is when he's in these games, when he's doing his podcasts, he's just like I think maybe that Micah should be focusing more on the game, more on the opponent, on the actual defense, what we need to do to stop the run, rather than pass rushing and talk about how great his pass rush is on the podcast. Now, some people out there say, when I posted this in the shorts, a lot of people are like, that's crazy. I agree with Malik Hooker. Mike, we've been complaining about Mike on this podcast for a while. And even you can put a lot of blame on that. I don't know if I would say that this was a malicious thing from Malik Hooker. It was more of a answering the question. And again, people are out there right now blaming the question, the podcast. That's a cop-out. Any Cowboy fan does that. They just want to divert the facts of what's going on behind the scenes. Now, does this mean that they have a hatred towards each other? The answer is hell no. But Malik Hooker wanted to just make it clear that he just feels that Micah, is he doing this? Like, is he more concerned about, backing up what he said on his podcast when it comes to pass rushing or whatever it may be? Or is he more about a team situation like Malik Hooker said, trying to win games and win the Super Bowl? Like, that's where it's about here, and kind of help in the run game. It sounded to be that was a bigger issue for Malik Hooker. Like, he's not maybe focused on team, he's more focused on himself.
Yeah, it's a little bit different coming from a player that doesn't have a personal brand to protect, so to speak, which, let's be real, the reason that Micah Parsons was asked by the NFL to go to Japan and represent the NFL along with CJ Stroud is because he has, I'm just saying, like, he has a personal brand.
Right, but
like, he's a big star.
Right, but the question wasn't about going to Japan. The question about podcasting.
I know,
but it all intertwines. I know what you're saying, but the point is that the podcast, going to Japan is the fans have a bitch about. They bitch about that.
Like
fans bitch about everything.
But I'm saying, like, that was him on official NFL business.
Right.
The point is that he would have never even been asked to do so if he didn't have that kind of big star power and star presence, and have his own thing going on for himself.
Right, but his own thing on Bleacher Report is not NFL. That's Micah Parsons doing his own thing for podcasts. A lot of players do that now. But he took a little heat from a teammate in Malik Hooker, which is why it's a bigger deal. Then before any breather could be taken, after Malik Hooker said that stuff and it was kind of reported, immediately Micah responded on the Twitter airwaves, guys. And again, not that that's the best. I don't like seeing this dirty laundry being aired for everybody, because Micah Parsons said this, quote, "I just wish you said this to me. But instead, you said it on some podcast. And you got my number, family. Malik Hooker, you are my locker mate. So you could have said this any day. And you do realize I shoot the podcast on our off day. I ain't sure why we're talking about everyone's preparations and focus leading up to the game." He said, I wonder why we ain't talking about everyone's preparations and focus leading up to game week. I mean, I can point out a lot of other things, but I'm just not. End quote. And again, this refers to not just his own thing. Maybe he's taking a little shot at Malik Hooker, or that Malik Hooker talked about the run game or the preparation for the run game. Also the coaching, could be part of this thing too. But it's just all these. This was the highlight. And again, I understand why it is the media is going to take this and run with this. But it's a little friction, it feels like, between Micah and Malik Hooker. I'm not going to blame the question. I'm not going to blame the podcast. These guys put themselves out there. They got to take responsibility. That's Micah and Malik Hooker. So Micah said his 2 cents. Malik Hooker, if you watched our shorts, he also responded, the next day about the situation, about,
responding to Micah's comment in response to Malik Hooker's
original comment. Right. Malik Hooker said, quote, "And I'm going to speak on this once, Micah, on this once with Micah Parsons is my little bro. And no, his podcast isn't hurting nothing. Don't fall for bait. He knows what I meant, and he knows me. See y'all in Oxnard, end quote. And that's kind of the Malik Hooker response to Micah. I should put Malik there.
I love you, baby. You should let me read the quotes next time.
Yeah. So again, listen, they write it in one sentence.
I know, so that's why it's important to.
You got the
say
gist.
It's fine.
Yeah. So but here's the thing. He said these things and a lot of other things. Look, they're going to straighten it out in training camp. I don't think it's an issue at all. He's trying to say that these podcast things are not really hurting the team. He was just answering the question about, how do you think this may, what do you think about players like Micah having podcasts? And he just answered.
He's allowed to have an opinion about it. He's allowed to say, not really a fan. Doesn't mean he's like personally trying to come after or attack Micah, which obviously sounds like, sometimes the things we say are taken in a different way, and obviously what Malik Hooker said there was taken in a different way by Micah.
Yeah, I mean, Micah.
But let's be real. How else are we supposed to take that?
If I'm Micah and I heard that out there, I think I'd respond maybe personally to him, not maybe on Twitter. Is my thing with Micah there. Malik Hooker answering a question, I don't really put it on him, but he could have answered that maybe a little more tactfully. I don't know. The point is, they both kind of spoke a little too soon, maybe a little too rough on each other, and now it puts the Cowboy dirty laundry out there. I'm not a fan of that. It tells you what's going on behind the scenes. I do think, though, that there was more than just that from this podcast. Any quick comments or thoughts out there from the family about this little fracas between Malik Hooker and Micah Parsons? A lot of people, most people agree with.
All Parsons does is bark no show in big games. So big claps to Hooker there, right? Some of the comments were actually way at the beginning of the stream, so I'm not going to go all the way back. But I have to be honest, for the most part, everyone is on Malik Hooker's side. Not that there's sides to take, but he does bring up a good point. When you're focusing on things that are not necessarily the football-focused stuff, it is a little frustrating for the players that aren't doing these podcasts and aren't doing that. Especially when Micah... I'll have to interrupt myself here in a minute, but when Micah has his platform to kind of make excuses for himself in a lot of ways, you get what I mean? It can feel a certain type of way because the rest of the team will take the regular heat, but Micah can go there and somehow excuse himself.
Yeah, he has a bigger voice to be able to say, hey, listen, I did this, I did that, and not throwing shade at his teammates, but by not saying the teammates did this or that, picked up the slack, It kind of blames him a little bit. But
you can't blame the man, Jetly44, though.
Damn right.
Because he said, hold up. I got to show the love here.
I don't know if the man knows what just went down there with that drop. What did he just drop? Did he just get 5?
He gifted memberships? 5 memberships. Congrats to John Shirley, 808 Cowboy77, Rolando Rodriguez, Mahalo, Mark Hosepian, and Spock, Can You Save Me?
Nice.
Make sure to say a big thank you to the man Jetly44 and drop him if you got him, guys.
Not just on that side of things for Mr. Jetly44, but with that drop right there, the man is in first place on the gifting board. I was going to announce it a little later, too, because this is the last night to catch up on any of these. But Jetly44 is up by only 1. But he's up over Skeptical Fan. Jetly's got 7-6. I mean, still looks like Skeptical missed the extra point right now. He's going to go for 2. We'll see what happens. But Jet Li has 7 gifted memberships in the last 3 weeks. Skeptical Fan has 6 gifted memberships. Harley Dad has 5 gifted memberships. And, of course, today, Tornado has 1. So, big shout-outs to Jet Li as he takes over the gifting board. And that would make it, if he holds it down tonight, he'd be 8 out of, he's really more than that. It's almost like, 11 out of 12 weeks. But he'd actually officially hold it down for 8 wins out of the last 9 times we've had this competition. So he's coming for that takeover. Big shout out to Jet Li 44. And on the overall board for Jet Li, and again, I like to say this, a.k.a. Mr. Jason Renfro, so everyone knows him here. That's Jet Li here, he moves in, jumping over a bunch of people, I will say here. And again, you never know. He could make a run for that top spot. But currently right now, he is right in 6th place on this board, right behind McLovin on this overall board. Trent goes to 7. Mick goes to 8. Seabass goes into 9th there. And Godless goes into 10th. So just the update there because, Jet Li just jumped up halfway up where he was at the board. 11th spot goes all the way up to 6. great job by Jet Li there with the drop and taking over the first place spot on the gifting membership side. So congrats to those that got those memberships in the Navy Blue crew as that grows daily here as we get closer and closer to training camp and all these new emojis we're going to put out there very soon. So big shout out to Jet Li. Godless goes to 47 points. And big shout out to everybody who got congrats to those that received those memberships in the Navy Blue side of things. Any other quick thoughts there on this, baby?
I mean, like I said, Malik Hooker is not wrong to feel how he feels. And the worst part of this, like you said, that this was taken to social media, not quote unquote discussed behind the scenes, but when he's doing a public interview, it's hard to really have that discussion behind the scenes because then it would have just, it would have just stayed at, Malik Hooker's comments. And it maybe wouldn't have gone any further than that. But the point is that you can sense, as fans, there's a little bit of friction in the house. And one of the things that really came to me, at least in my mind, I remember when this first started happening, I think I pointed it out to you. I'm like, do you remember Micah's comments during the OTAs and stuff? The things that he said in regards to Zimmer, they weren't exactly glowing praise and stuff. It was actually a little bit of frustration at the new scheme and the fact that he wasn't picking it up as quickly and the fact that he hadn't talked to Zimmer directly yet.
That's the thing that stuck out to me.
The only reason that came to my head is because we know that Zimmer does like his type of guys, right? And so, not saying Micah isn't, just saying that obviously you're sensing a bit of maybe some of the internal early friction within the team and the defense as we're starting this Zimmer transition.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna address like two different points on this before we move on. And of course, anybody else dropping their thoughts in the chat, let us know. But I want to say this. First of all, Micah Parsons, there's no wrong on the field. If you can't use him, then you're just a bad coach. And Zimmer's not a bad coach. Zimmer's gonna use him as a pressure player. He's going to move him around, I think, more than Dan Quinn did on the left side and the right side, on the B gap and the A gap, which I think he's going to use a lot of him and Kendricks on third down and sevens and longer. You're going to see Micah playing quote-unquote linebacker, but blitzing most of the time. So he'll be another pass rusher, but from the inside rather than the edge. Yeah. So I think you're going to see that working. The thing is, he is not like – Mike Zimmer is not like Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was a defensive line coach initially. That's his bread and butter. Mm-hmm. And he's hands-on. Right, Zimmer a little less hands-on, more lets his guys kind of coach, his coach's coach, but he's also a defensive backs guru specialist. That's where he started from. And Dan Quinn started defensive line, so if he's gonna be more hands-on, it's gonna be with the defensive backs in the corners and coverage in linebacker situations. Coverage is Zimmer's specialty.
He's not going to have the same type of even if he was as personable as Dan Quinn, he's not going to naturally have that same initial connection with Micah because he's naturally going to gravitate more towards the Trayvon Diggses, if you really want to go with that same kind of comparison.
And the safeties, Malik Hookers. But I also think that it also goes down to the fact that Micah, was not there for OTAs. Yeah. All right? He was training in New York his way, his style. This is not under Japan. This has to do with training with
Remember,
his
I
own
do my own training.
Exactly.
And no one's doubting that he's not training. It's just that he's not training with the team.
Right.
That distinction has to be made.
When you have the new coach in there, it's the earlier he's there, the better he is gonna learn and pick up the system. And it sounded like during the mandatory minicamp, a little not issue, but a little slower to pick it up than the rest because he wasn't there. Exactly. So I'm not really too worried there about him catching up on that. But I do think that along with his contract situation is making him a little bit grumpy. Well, he better ungrump himself because training camp's a couple weeks away. And he's gonna have to learn whatever he's right now. He's doing twists and turns out there, on the working out side and grinding side in New York, with coaches and stuff like this. But when he gets back into training camp, he better know what his kind of role is gonna be under Zimmer, because if he does it right, he's gonna be fantastic. The defense will be fantastic, and you're gonna see the best of Micah in this scheme with Zimmer. But he's got to be open to accepting it and not being babied like he has to be babied. I need my Dan Quinn, plush toy. No, fuck that. You need to just man up here and learn and listen to what Zimmer's saying. And if you do it, it'll help everybody. It'll help the coverage. It's going to help the pass rush. It's going to help this entire defense. So I believe Mike will get there. Just he's still learning to deal with a new coach for the first time in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So,
and by the way, Scorpio did say maybe they did have a private conversation about it, but Micah told him to mind his own business. I wonder if Hooker went public after that. It's hard to say. You know, he said, we need a talking fly on the wall.
Well, you know, it's funny. There's other situations we've heard, whether it's DeMarcus Lawrence saying we ran out of steam, we were tired against the Packers. A lot of stuff that, you know, Micah could say, I'm calling you out, DeMarcus Lawrence, but he didn't do that, you know. So I think that's what Micah kind of feels a little bit shitty about. Like, why you call me out for having my off day, doing what I want to do on my off day. But, you know, it's also, you know, like kind of you said, he's kind of like, yeah, I did this, I did that. I know he made some comments on his podcast that, you know, I wish we could stop the run better. And I think that's what Malik Hooker's kind of taking offense to. Dan Quinn or Zimmer, it's the fact that he's kind of not taking the responsibility. He's kind of pushing it over to the guys out there that are on the field that don't have a podcast. And he has the open mic to say his grievances, air his grievances out without being criticized.
And like I've said, because of his star power, I'm using that intentionally. Obviously, when Malik Hooker talks or Micah Parsons talks, whose message and whose word do you think is going to be more out there? I can tell you right now, it's going to be Micah.
Well, now that Malik Hooker spoke, people are listening when he's criticizing Micah Parsons. Again, because it's Micah. If he was criticizing, J-Ron Curse, no one give a fuck.
Exactly.
But he's criticizing Micah, and everyone's like, "Well, are we gonna pay Micah this money if he can't like be a quote unquote team guy?" That's the questions that are being brought up, and a lot of fans. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of fans on the video that I posted, the shorts, are not happy at all.
Yeah,
by
the way,
with Micah's kind of podcasting.
A great comparison there as well by James Hurd, even though we highly disagree on some other Cowboy things. You did bring up a good point. He said Micah talking on his podcast is like Redick and LeBron having their podcast. Since he's still the coach for the Lakers, how's that going to go?
That's, I mean,
like in the sense of,
player,
how
friend,
exactly
guy,
can you have a podcast or any kind of situation where you're trying to speak openly and honestly about these things without putting yourself in a situation where you inevitably throw your teammates under the bus. That's the point. Even a neutral comment like, I wish we could have stopped the run better,
puts it on other people, not him.
You're including other people who are not there to speak for themselves or defend themselves or give their opinion, and people will naturally feel some type of way about it, including Micah himself, because he certainly felt very strongly about Malik Hooker's relatively neutral comments when you look at them and listen to them in full context. Like, he was critical, but he wasn't criticizing, you know?
I mean, I guess critical could be also criticizing, right? But I think Malik Hooker, he was just saying it'd be nice if he didn't do as much podcast stuff and worry about, because he said, is he worried about what he said on his podcast to his fans, or is he worried about stopping the run with the rest of the defense? And I think that is something that not that he's doing something wrong, but the fact that the players don't get to say their part. Like Malik Hooker, if he had a podcast, he'd be saying, well, Micah could have done this to help stop the run too, you know what I'm saying? Or
he's not worried about his personal image. He's worried about winning.
Right.
And getting success on this team.
Now, I do want to continue, though, on a couple of positives here, since I think we kind of got that caught up here as far as all the... I mean, I do agree with James Hurd. Micah needs to learn how to be a better leader. That's one thing he still has not taken over that. You know, Dak is one of the greatest leaders on this team and in the NFL. And
whether you like him or not, the point is that the team believes in him and buys into him.
Malik Hooker on the defense side of the ball said this about Dak Prescott in this interview. You won't hear this at part of the interview because the media don't want to push that part. They want to push the drama. But Malik Hooker also said on this podcast, he said that Dak Prescott, as a student of the game and his perseverance as a leader, you know, dealing with adversity, is one of the best he's ever seen in his life. So the credit that it's not only Malik Hooker saying this is every guy has ever played on offense or defense with Dak Prescott or around him since he's been in the NFL. No one can deny that Dak Prescott is a unbelievably fantastic leader. You can say he's off on his throw here and there, although I'm not going to get into it. But every analytic last year, second best in MVP overall player in the league, you could make a point he should have won the MVP. But, you know, when it comes to a leader, his leadership skills for Dak, off the charts, one of the best, along with his play, one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Malik Hooker doubles down on that and says Dak is an unbelievable leader. And maybe the best part of the interview, which is maybe the biggest insight. He says, everyone says Dak's a great leader. We know about Micah's podcast, and now we know about of course, that's the drama side of things, but I'd like to know what we're getting ready for this year. We know we got a little bit of static in the locker room, maybe. I'm sure that'll be ironed out when we get to training camp. But probably one of the most interesting, best positive things, or at least insights we know from the defensive side and Zimmer coming in. Malik Hooker was kind of implying that you can blame players, but if the coaches are going to sit guys or not instill discipline onto the team on defense, getting them ready for games. I know the players should be ready anyways, but that's what you have coaches, to get them ready mentally and knowing what their jobs are on the field.
That's what the coach's job is.
Yeah, I mean, players got to play, but coaches got to coach. I think he's taking a main shot here at Dan Quinn, because he said, look, you can blame the players, but if the coaches are going to sit guys, meaning maybe play undersized players, you know what I'm saying, on Green Bay's 12 and 13 personnel packages where you know they're going to run all over us.
Yeah, or long story. Yeah, basically allowing players to play when they should have been benched, it sounds like.
Not that. I think it's the other way around. I don't think they want to bench Marquise Bell, but they want to get a bigger guy in there. Maybe you run a bigger linebacking core.
What does sitting guys mean? Doesn't that mean making them sit down and not play, or am I taking?
No. You read it wrong. Yeah, you read it wrong. That you're not. Basically, what he's saying is that if coaches are not going to sit guys, bench guys. What I'm trying to say is, and I don't mean bench them like. Basically,
we don't mean permanently bench them. We just mean that, like, when somebody fucks up,
you gotta have
ways,
discipline.
like, get your ass off my football field. Think about what you've done.
And it sounds like there was enough mistakes in the Cowboys in the running game again, and maybe in that Green Bay game, that the coaches were not gonna sit certain guys that couldn't handle it, and it's not necessarily their fault. It's not like Marquise Bell did something wrong. He's an undersized linebacker, and the coaches don't instill discipline to get, basically to held some players responsible for their mistakes. Then blaming the players will never resolve anything. We can blame every defensive player, but if the coach ain't doing their job, the players are going to fail. And again, that's not the answer, is to blame the players if the coaches are not going to instill discipline and sit guys at times in different game plans that you need to kind of maybe mix it up a little bit more, which is something Dan Quinn did not do. We know this, again, Green Bay. We know that, it's been an issue, I don't know if I'd say maybe in the last year and a half or so of Dan Quinn's time. The difference, he said, and he said this during these practices, during the OTAs, during the mandatory minicamp, and the upcoming training camp around the corner. Basically, he said that Mike Zimmer made it clear he will bench you. He will sit you. And that's what we need. We need some fucking discipline on this defense. Already you're hearing it, whether it's Micah, Malik Hooker, whoever the hell, Marquise Bell, or if guys are doing their jobs wrong, Mozzie Smith, whoever. You will get benched if you can't handle what Zimmer's giving you. Exactly. Unlike Dan Quinn, which is really the big difference, I think, that Malik Hooker kind of pointed out. I found that pretty interesting. Let's just put it that way. So any quick thoughts on this as we move on to the offensive side of the ball?
I mean, honestly, I love it. I love to hear that that's the type of mentality that Zimmer's bringing in the building, though, to be realistic, lots of coaches say they're going to be tough and do it, and I'm not saying Zimmer doesn't have a history of that, but our Dallas Cowboys also have a history of turning around and saying, I don't give a fuck who you do or do not want to bench. We just paid this guy a bunch of money. You're going to play him. And so all I'm trying to say is that there are probably situations where even if Zimmer does want to sit somebody's ass down or do some kind of rotation, the powers that be will probably nudge him in a slightly different direction, but it still sounds like Zimmer will have tons of leeway to be able to manage the discipline of his team accordingly. And I'm sorry, players, to get to the point in the NFL where they're at, you have to have some kind of discipline and stuff. But it's kind of like, I hate to say parenting necessarily, but if you let your kids walk all over you or just do whatever they want, it doesn't matter if they're the best kids in the world, they are going to grab that inch and take a mile.
They're going to get comfortable.
In some ways or another. Exactly. So even the best players can find themselves falling into not good patterns or habits. And that's why you do need good coaches to make sure that everyone stays focused and disciplined and maintains the level of play that you want.
The one thing, though, the last thing I'm going to say about this, when it comes to the coaching and the players, you're kind of leading to that fact, like why when we get certain players that maybe we need to maybe instill better discipline with some veterans here that have that knowledge and the experience that can help the younger guys. We're not doing that because of the clown show. Now, Malik Hooker is not going to say the front office and Jerry Jones are not bringing in the bigger linebackers that we needed. Like we had Rashawn, what was his name? I forgot his name. Rashawn Evans. We have Rashawn Evans who, he was a practice squad guy, but he played a little bit. We had to cut him. I mean, those are the guys that the Joneses are bringing in. So in the end, Malik Hooker may blame Dan Quinn some of the scheme or some of the players are not being all mentally there. Even Micah, But in the end, it falls down on these two guys here, Jerry and Stephen Jones, because they have not given Dan Quinn or the rest of the defense the experienced guys they need, the better guys, the bigger, bulkier guys they may need to stop 13 personnel and getting run all over every single time when they, like the Green Bay game in the playoffs. So that is a different levels on this. Malik's not going to say it's on the Joneses because all the Joneses are paying his salary.
Hey,
but I just want to bring that up.
The chat because you guys are.
Let's hear it.
Bringing us some great points. First of all, Scorpio said a leader solves problems, not excuses, in the relation to Micah and some of that, right? Shout out, by the way, Brandon J. Thanks for being here.
Yep.
Sorry, Skeptical Fan said bench Jerry.
That's the guy who really should be benched first.
And then Aztec Aguilar 04 said it's always been a culture thing.
Yep.
That really doesn't help this team out, especially when they really need to be locked up in the postseason. It's time for a shift in attitude and discipline. Yeah,
locked in the postseason and focus. It's always McCarthy. They don't have him ready. Dan Quinn wasn't, used was allowing the Packers to basically run all over us. Was that because he didn't care, he had bad planning, or was that more, the players available for us by the front office? So it's a colossal fuck up, I would say, by the front office, starting with them, all the way down to the coaches and then the players. So it's a three-pronged kind of issue. We'll see if having Mike Zimmer in there improves that. So, So again, now should I keep it going, flowing, keep it moving? Because now we're going to jump from the defense to the offense real quick. And I just want to say one thing here, and I guess I'll put Mike McCarthy as our figurehead when it comes to the offense. Because again, I want to know why. Why is it that weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, I guess after the bye week, why was the offense so dismal last year? And I found an interesting, I could go in here and repeat a million things to you guys. I'm just getting right to the goods, and something that I found very interesting about this. But the one thing people should talk about when it comes to this kind of delay of the offensive ability that we had on that field. And
why did it take us so long for our offense to really get going?
After that Charger game we had last year, we had a bye week. We got the Rams. We were there for that Rams game, and it looked like a different offense, like a completely different scheme. And this is something that maybe we didn't talk enough about last year. But when you look at the run game, the defensive run game issues that we've had, the offensive run game issues that we had, I think a lot of it has to do with the loss of Jeff Blasco. And you might be like, who's
that again?
Yeah. Jeff Blasco, guys, again, he is our run game coordinator on offense, all right, last year. And the thing is, last year, again, when we were not able to merge like the run game, pass game very well at all those first 6, 7 weeks. But we didn't have Jeff Blasco on the team, who is a coach that specializes in that. Failure in the run game, definitely the whole season, but for sure those first 6 weeks, just before the start of the regular season last year. You guys remember he had to leave because of a medical situation. He had to kind of take some time off for a medical situation, and that went from week 1 to about mid-season. All right, his influence, in my opinion, when you lose a little, we got AI covers. Welcome to the family. Or Al covers. Either way, welcome to the family. Hell yeah. But when you look at about midway through the season when he came back in full effect, the Cowboy offense did better merging the run game. Run game got better. The offense got better. And, I think that losing him for about half of the season, it was a couple weeks before the first week 1 game, and he came back, I think, for that Rams game or the one after that against the Eagles. The point is, he was involved in helping this offense kind of mesh together better. And I don't know if that was a McCarthy. I can't believe one guy would make this offense just revert to a predictable, crappy offense. But it looked like a completely different team. I'm not saying it's all on Jeff Blasco that he wasn't there.
Obviously seems to have maybe brought the secret sauce, right? No. It sounds like things were just disjointed offensively.
You got to remember, Jeff Blasco started off as, being part of the offensive line coaching staff. He was an offensive line assistant to, what's his name? I forgot his name now, but the offensive line coach for us. I completely blew his name. But Blasco went from helping the offensive line coaching side of things and got moved to being the running back coach. I say he's a running game coordinator. He's the running back coach Jeff Blasco. And that in itself, you saw the difference in the run game, getting more Tony Pollard mixed into the game. We used the run game a little more effectively throughout as the season continued when we got Jeff Blasco back in the mix and able to merge it with McCarthy's passing game mindset. So I think that marrying the run game and the pass game, using Jeff Blasco and McCarthy there, that whole run game coordination really.
Thank you so much, Seabass.
Yes,
Solari, right?
Solari, yes. That really helped. Mike Solari, again, when he came over, he's like, I got my own guys to be the offensive line coach. So they moved Blasco to running back coach. And then he was gone for about half the year. So that really hurt our entire run game, I think, more than we realized. So, again, when he stepped away, things were a little more disrupted than I think the Cowboy coaching staff and the players, and of course us fans, even expected. I'm not saying that is the answer. Who knows? It might not mean anything, but it definitely seems like it almost coincides with the way our offense got better when we got Jeff Blasco back, and the run game got better when we got Jeff Blasco back.
Easy question for the chat. Does coaching matter, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so there you go. Of course, losing a coach is going to have an impact. Obviously, there's a little bit of difference if you lose, like, the assistant to the assistant linebacker coach or some other thing like that. But when you have someone who is integrated into the offensive plan in some capacity and is no longer there, that means that even if it's just a matter of, now people have to kind of pick up the slack a little bit and help out and help with some of his duties.
Yeah.
Just that alone means, just that alone means there's a disruption. So first of all, speaking of disruptions, a pleasant one, of course, Jetly44 dropping.
Yeah.
A super chat there with the $1.36 holler.
Much love.
Thank you so much, always with the Go Cowboys.
Oh, you know, I was going to say, you know what he said, right? Go Cowboys.
So, yes. and I'm being real, guys. Like, let me know in the chat, does coaching matter, yes or no? Answer that question for me. Because
while you guys answer that, I want to shout out Godless Manitoban, who is also down to 45 points. You know, he just took it over the other day. He's right down to 45. But he's from Canada. Yeah. He's repping that star over everything, as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, thank you, Jet Lee 44 as well. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to know what the chat thinks.
For a second in my head, I thought you were saying that Mr. Jet Li was Canadian, and I'm like, man, I missed a lot.
Godless Manitoba.
I know. I'm making a joke. So.
But, yeah, I mean, just any quick notes in there. Of course, coaching got to matter, but do you think it mattered enough to make a difference in the run game and the way the scheme was run?
Yes, it does matter. You can't drive the bus without the driver.
Yeah. And when you got guides for you, right, on the side of your bus, guiding you, Jeff Blasco was not there, and the running game looked like trash. The first 6-7 weeks, it wasn't fixed when Blasco got back, but it got better. If you look at the last 2 months of the season, it got a lot better, no question. So he did make a difference.
And let's be real, it's not like we changed any personnel. It's not like there's relatively no difference other than him coming back.
Yeah.
And then we made changes to the offense. Like, I hate to say it really is just that simple, but sometimes it really does just come down to something. And of course, it's not like it needed a complete overhaul. It sounds like he just made a few minor adjustments, or maybe he helped with the communication, like you said, bridging the gap between our pass game and the run game.
Yep.
Maybe it was just, again, maybe he's the guy that the players really like and vibe with, and so I'm just trying to say that it's so many different factors it could be, because as a coach, you have to do so much and so many different
I don't want to overlook the other factor. I kind of just thought about this now, but he was an offensive line assistant. So when you look at the run game and the offensive line, and he's not there for 6, 7, 8 weeks, that really affects the run game through the offensive line in a way, because he knows how that offensive line is going to be working or moving, even with the new movements by Solari, whatever new things he had.
You can have a 2016 Zeke. If you don't have a decent O-line to help him get through those holes, even 2016 Zeke was not going to look like he did.
Right, but even if
just
the offensive line,
the point is the run game depends on the O-line, and it lives and dies by the
But he used to also be offensive line coach, right? So he's an assistant offensive line, knows how it runs. It was kind of switched up with Soliari, and then he was gone. So there was no chance for him to really get into a groove with Soliari and kind of merge this thing together. I think it made a big difference him not being there for half the season for our run game mainly, and of course some other pieces you can say when it comes to the efficiency of our offense and the play calling by McCarthy, which seemed to be very poor those first 6-7 weeks. Yeah. So, any other last comments on this? Because we got one last topic. We're an hour in. Told you it was going to be a quickie, but We got one last topic probably going to present, the most discussion, or at least it has a little bit more of importance. But any other comments, baby?
Yeah, of course. First of all, Scorpio cracking me up. I won't read his comments since this is a family-friendly channel, right? But James Hurd did say, yes, coaching matters to a certain point. You got to put your players in a position to make plays and adjustments. Exactly.
Agreed.
You can have the most talented players. If you don't use them correctly, you will never see that talent reflected.
Right. You'll never see me get the most out of these guys.
Yeah. A good coach
we
brings out the best in his players.
And when they're not, and when that good coach is not there, then you're going to see some disruption. Yeah. I think that's what we saw.
So Scorpio said Hunter Lipke will help Zeke too.
A little bit. White, Zeke might be the freaking fullback.
Well, yeah, because Stephen White said, we'll be fine. We have Hunter Lipke. So Jetly44 had asked, what's the deal with Big Mike? Being fed up with the clown show and Jerry Jones. Seabass said we're all fed up with the Jones family. Mike ain't saying nothing new.
We just, Jetly, we actually, I don't know if, I think Jason might have missed this last time, but one of the last shows, you go back and watch for sure, and double speed if you have to. But we did talk about the fed upness, the upsetness, the rumor of that, and it's not like anything different than in the past. I think the biggest fed up wording that came out from this, the reason why they're saying he's fed up, is because he's on he's on a contract year, the final year of his contract, and that's frustrating. So with that situation, plus not having as much input as maybe he'd like, you see the offseason moves he did, right? So of course McCarthy is probably frustrated he couldn't get a couple other guys maybe he wanted to, because the Joneses are saying, well, the cap. So I think that's frustrating for McCarthy. It's probably always been frustrating, but he still had another year left. He had 2 years left, and he's got no years left. This is his last year. So being on his last year, not getting that much help, he sees it as a frustration. I can't blame him. I'd be frustrated too. But again, if the fans are frustrated, don't you think the coaches are a little frustrated too? Even if he wasn't on a contract year, you add the contract year situation, that's where that frustration seems to be coming from. But the other thing is he loves Dallas. His family loves Dallas. His kids are kind of ingrained into the Dallas community, and now he might have to move that whole thing, uproot his family again. That's what I think is kind of getting him on edge a little bit. So that's where the fed up or frustration comes from. Answering Jet Li's comment.
I think even McCarthy had different expectations of how he thought things would go in Dallas, and it hasn't exactly worked out that way.
Well, I could have definitely told McCarthy, you're going to have some problems. Get ready. This is the way the Joneses run this show. The only guy that can make a dent in the Joneses kind of the way they run their shit, unfortunately, I believe in the bad. The only guy who can make a dent at all, I believe, is Bill Belichick, because he is friends, not just like friends, like, hi, how you doing? Belichick is actually friends with Jerry and Stephen Jones. So yeah, he's not going to say, hey, let's do this or that, but he's like, listen, Jerry, he could speak to him a little bit more, confidently, rather than, a McCarthy situation where he's going to be, McCarthy is going to be afraid to present certain situations or ask certain questions of the front office, while Bill Belichick's going to just say it because he's friendlier with them. They are in a friends zone situation, which is a good thing. Yeah. Because hey, listen, Jerry,
Belichick is a man who does not know fear.
Yeah, Belichick would say, listen, hey, Jerry, because again, he wouldn't do this or be allowed to if they weren't friends. If he's not friends with Stephen or Jerry, I think that he would have the same situation as McCarthy, because he is friends with them. Even with the Belichick background and the championships and all that stuff, Belichick will say, listen, hey, we're buddies here, Jerry. What if you give me this guy, if you give me a little Calais Campbell for $1 billion, we're good. And I'll tell you why, because blah, blah, blah. And Jerry would be like, you know what, buddy, you're right. I think it'd be easier to convince the front office with someone like Belichick than any other coach in the NFL. Every other coach every coach, Sean Payton and whoever, every coach will go through the same shit with this front office. The only one that probably wouldn't, the one that has the best chance, not just because of the hardware, but also because of the friendship, is Bill Belichick. Yeah. So that's the hope next year. If McCarthy can't do it, I hope Belichick comes to Dallas. That's a real hope for me to make this organization better.
22-year-old girlfriend, or however old she is.
I'm 24 years old. And I don't give a fuck who he's fucking, as long as it's legal. That's fine. He can fuck someone that's 40 years, 50 years younger than him. If he gets us a Super Bowl, fuck away. Bill Belichick, fuck away.
Now, I'm going to read a handful of comments here before you touch on the last topic of the night. So remember, guys, hit like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. But Double R said, I'll be the coach for Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Just saying, I'll make sure that they play their best position.
Make sure you guys watch that on Netflix, by the way.
Yes, we're halfway through it.
Yeah.
So we said we'd give all our thoughts once the whole thing.
It is interesting. It's definitely, interesting watching. And Cowboys still using that star, like on the helmet for players, for the cheerleaders. It's just kind of funny the way the organization thinks from top, bottom, Jerry, Steven, Jerry Jr., or Charlotte Jones.
I
right?
said,
Charlotte
I'm going to save my thoughts because...
You'll have a lot to say, I'm sure, next week.
Anyway, Seabass, by the way, since we were making all these Hunter Lipke jokes, he said, I wanted the team to shave the man's head for that. You just don't do that on the goal line. You don't do that to your team. But yes, you're right. Rookie mistake, and he has to improve. And it's also hard to be mad at Hunter Lipke for not rising to the unrealistic expectations that the Cowboys made.
You got to remember
for him in certain ways.
Lipke was using the goal line, he fumbled.
Yeah, I remember that part.
And you also had Tony Pollard catching a pass and falling short of the goal line. We fumbled the next play with Lipke. This is the issue in the run game. By this point, though, it was a Miami game, and we already had Jeff Blasco in there. Mm-hmm. It was the personnel that fell short. You didn't have the big bruiser that get in there from 1 yard. That was experience, which would be Zeke this year. You didn't have the guy who can catch the ball, turn around, get in the end zone, which was not Pollard last year. I don't think it was Zeke either. But the Cowboys had their chances, and they went with Deuce Vaughn, as their draft pick, rather than a guy who could maybe be that guy that would be the catch and then run into the end zone guy, which Pollard could not do last year for us on that specific 2 sets of plays. They're back-to-back
Now,
plays.
Lost in Translation said Jerry's lucky to have McCarthy. Seabass said it might be the reverse. Mike's lucky to have Jerry. This is the same Mike admitted to lying and studying teams, film, and players from Dallas to get the job, right?
I think both guys. We know the front office is fucked up. I mean, Jerry Jones is the main issue there. I think McCarthy, I think Jerry is lucky to have someone like McCarthy who's better than Garrett. But I also think McCarthy had to lie and get that job, and now he's kind of pissed because, he's frustrated because he can't do the things that he knew he couldn't do from day one with the Cowboys. So it's kind of a both ways thing. But get Belichick in there. There's no question. Belichick is going to say more, do more, and be more efficient than someone like McCarthy, and can get the info to and from the Joneses and change shit up a little bit easier than anybody else could.
Yeah, it's funny, Steve Bass, because Mr. FCF and I have different tastes in ladies, so to speak.
We'll definitely go through that as well. We hawking, baby.
But yeah, and it's funny because, Steve Bass said it. See how we come full circle to your earlier question about why coaching is important.
Exactly.
So,
hey.
But
That's what we do
also
here.
said the thing McCarthy's going to miss the most about Dallas is the Whataburger.
I was just... Maybe I swear I was going to say that. So that's why he's pissed. That's why he's frustrated. He might have to eat some fucking McDonald's up in Wisconsin.
And Lost in Translation said 8-8 every year. Give me that 12-5.
Exactly.
Like with McCarthy. McCarthy is an improvement
much
from what we had before. But Seabass was kind of saying like the real literal definition of insanity is
doing the same thing
12 and 53 times in a row, getting the same result because McCarthy has failed other than one time to produce results.
When you have Jason Garrett never did anything like McCarthy has done in the short span. He's been a 8-9 or 9-8 coach for Garrett in his career with the Cowboys, and now he's washing cars at your local gas station. So he's not even on the NFL he's not even on Sunday Night Football anymore. He's so bad. So Garrett is not made for this, but the Joneses stuck with him for over a decade. That's the true insanity.
Yeah.
McCarthy got COVID the first year. We had a COVID year. We had definitely some issues with McCarthy's, I think, focus in the playoffs for this team. But we are 12-5 3 years in a row. To me, okay, great. But it's the playoff focus which McCarthy is missing. I think Belichick won't let that happen. You know what I'm saying? That's you go from Jason Garrett to McCarthy, you see the improvement. You go from Mike McCarthy to Bill Belichick, you will see a bigger improvement. And this time it will lead into the playoffs, in my opinion. And also to the ears of that fucked up front office. That's maybe the biggest improvement. You get the real tougher guys, experienced guys that help these guys be ready for the playoffs because Belichick knows what it takes. McCarthy may know what it takes, but you don't have the ear of the front office like Belichick would.
I think our front office needs to hear something else, which is hopefully money leaving their pocketbook and locking down some of our players. Yes. Just saying, because one of the reasons that I know Micah may be feeling some kind of way personally, with some of those comments and things like that is, where's his paycheck? Where's my paycheck?
Well, he's going to get his paycheck, but he's still on his rookie deal, right? So he's eligible. He said he knows he's got to wait for Dak and CeeDee. Dak's still waiting. But Dak's not no worries.
Yeah, Dak is in a very different situation.
Dak's going to get his money no matter what. Micah could be already broken down by the time the Cowboys get through with him if they really wanted to keep him at 20 or 25 million a year instead of 35 or 40 million a year. The Cowboys could basically get 7-8 years out of Micah and never pay him a big contract. So Micah's got some anger situation there. You can see how that works. We know Dak's nice and settled, but what about the guy who I'm going to talk about now and finish up the show with? CeeDee Lamb. CeeDarius Lamb. Officially today, again, is this really a surprise though, guys? Is this a surprise? The fact that now we have a possible holdout situation. We knew this was happening during OTAs and specifically mandatory minicamp, where, we know during mandatory minicamp, CeeDee Lamb got fined for 2 days about, it's $55,000 for the combined first day and second day. That's what his total fines were, in that range. So we're thinking, well, we're going to get a deal done before training camp, right? Training camp's 3 weeks away. All right, the Cowboys got to fly out to Oxnard July 23rd, check in on the 24th, and get on that field on the 25th. Will we have CeeDee Lamb there? Will he start getting fines like Zach Martin did last year? Well, we're going to find out. But right now, it's been confirmed. And I say it's a rumor in a way, but it is confirmed by Calvin Watkins. A Cowboys superstar wide receiver CeeDee Lamb is expected to hold out of training camp if he does not receive a contract extension by the time training camp begins, which is July 24th. You got to check in. 25th on the field.
Yeah, so, before this, there was still a chance that maybe you could
you get him on that
think
field.
About seeing him, but I have to agree. Calvin Watkins is a very respected reporter here for Dallas Cowboys.
You got to also remember this, too, though. If you are Jalen Tolbert and you want to get a new deal, holding out is going to do you nothing. You're just going to hold out, and you're going to have to come back because the fines are going to outdo your paycheck. Yeah. CeeDee Lamb knows that with the Cowboys or somewhere else, that's no problem. So that's what Zach Martin. You have the star power, you can hold out.
Yeah.
So he should hold out. If you're CeeDee Lamb, you should hold out. I know some people don't like to hear this, but this is called business. And Jerry Jones plays business. So why shouldn't the players also play business, especially the ones that can do it, like Zach Martin, like CeeDee Lamb, maybe in the future, like Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons. So right now, that's again not a surprise to me. The bigger surprise is the Joneses aren't paying him, and we haven't heard any kind of communication.
The bigger surprise is that I generally assumed that after Jefferson's deal was done, it was going to be like a
that's what you had said.
CeeDee Lamb, bam, because the ceiling had been set, and Jerry and CeeDee both were kind of waiting to see where that number would fall.
It sounded like it was more of a...
what's the fucking holdup?
Well, initially it sounded like a more CeeDee Lamb thing. He wanted to hold up. Now that we know, is that CeeDee Lamb wants more than Justin Jefferson? Some people are saying he wants 37, 38, 40. Jones ain't going to pay that. So now we're in the situation where will Jerry... When will he either go out there and pay the guy or come to an agreement with CeeDee Lamb? But we do know now if CeeDee Lamb is not paid with a new extension, he's going to get $18 million this year. It is a hard cap number. There's no way you can put money in the future. It is a franchise. This is a 5th-year option, which is off your rookie deal. He's getting $18 million for this 1 year, and it's all hitting the cap right now. So it's not a surprise that CeeDee Lamb wants to get an extension to be with the Cowboys, be one of the top guys paid in the NFL receiver, as he deservedly should be. So, as the Cowboys approach training camp, all right, very familiar face, number 88, could be missing from the team. As I said, Calvin Watkins of the Dallas Morning News officially reported that the 25-year-old wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, who, of course, you guys know, he led the league, the NFL, in receptions last year. He also set a single-season Dallas Cowboy Club record for receiving yards in a season, is expected to miss training camp if he does not receive that new contract. Again, I want to say one other thing, too. He broke that single-season receiving record in the same 16 games, that 16 games that Michael Irvin had. Mm-hmm. He added to that in the 17th game. But I'm just saying, he broke that not in the 17th week. He broke it, or 17th game. He brought it in the 16th game. Comparatively better than the playmaker Michael Irvin, who had the record before him. So, again, if you don't get the deal done, he's expected to miss training camp and hold out if he does not receive a new contract. So, as we know, we know that there's an issue with maybe holding out to see where Justin Jefferson fell. Yeah. And that sounded like the Joneses were like, well, it's out of our hands. CeeDee Lamb's kind of dictating that. Now that we know, what's the holdup?
Now it sounds like the ball is back in their court.
So, again, the front office seems to have a pattern with contract issues. We've talked about this for years here on MCF. We've seen this with Des Bryant at receiver. It's no shock with this news. And again, the Cowboys love to do the deadlines make deals. So they're going to probably push us now, in my mind, into training camp. It's going to hurt the offense. Even though Dak and CeeDee Lamb connect off the field and practice on their own, it's just you want to see them all together with the rest of the guys and get into the flow of the season. And that's going to hurt the team. Zach Martin last year had, he did it and got his money. The front office lost, right? What do you think is going to happen with CeeDee Lamb? They're going to pay him, but it's going to be halfway in the training camp. That'd be the dumbest thing they can do. So you got to figure it out. The Cowboys front office is horrible. We got Stephen Jones who runs the cap and runs the contracts. He's horrible at this. So right now, Mike McCarthy's not the only frustrated player. Neither is Micah or Malik Hooker. CeeDee Lamb is probably feeling the frustration about this front office, who has not awarded any contract extensions this entire offseason yet, while the other top NFL receivers, and we've named them all throughout this offseason, being the last one being Justin Jefferson, but a lot of guys got paid, a lot of guys moving that bar up higher and higher. Cowboys sitting on their hands waiting for this Justin Jefferson deal. Now they get it. The only thing is CeeDee Lamb asking for a lot more than Justin Jefferson, or is he asking for like $1 million more? I don't know. But either way, the Joneses need to get this shit done. Other top receivers are receiving the security that they need with their teams that they're on to perform at an elite level. Now we know CeeDee Lamb has been performing at an elite level since the beginning of his contract with the Cowboys, his career with the Cowboys. Number one in the slot in yards, receptions, and touchdowns. We just talked about his when he's in single coverage, he's number one domination from CeeDee Lamb.
He had a few up and down moments and stuff like that, but he has been consistently playing at a high level
his whole career.
Brought him in.
Yeah, even if he's been the third guy that year, right, in his first year with the Cowboys. So as a rookie, CeeDee Lamb, of course, is currently in the final year of his rookie contract, that fifth-year option, which pays him $17.991 million. And that represents only 6.9% of the current cap space, about 7% of the cap space, all right? So when you look at that, paying him, I'm putting up where the numbers are now, from $18 million to $35 million, which Justin Jefferson is at. When you look at it, that's a big jump, but it would actually save money this year on our cap if the Cowboys really wanted to. And instead of being $18 million or $35 million, it'd probably be down to like $10 million or $6 million, $8 million. And yeah, you have to pay more in the future, but when you look at this to get a better understanding of the type of deal that CeeDee Lamb is looking for, guys, you got to look at Justin Jefferson, who got that new deal, right? 4-year contract, $140 million, $88.7 million due at signing. And given this front office, the Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones shit front office, inactivity, while other top players in the league are getting their deals, this is what set the baseline for CeeDee Lamb's contract. So is CeeDee Lamb worth the money? The Joneses, they said that he is. Is he worth the money? I believe he's definitely worth every single penny. Since joining the NFL, CeeDee Lamb has delivered a performance basically as a top receiver, no question, no doubt, in the NFL, a top receiver. No signs of slowing down, although I will say in the playoffs he was kind of like in La La Land for about a quarter or two. But in 2023 last year in the regular season, he made history. Just smashing the all-time receiving record. Getting 1,749 yards receiving, dominating the league, the entire NFL with 135 catches. I mean, that's number one. On his rookie contract still, okay, you look at all 4 years, now entering his fifth-year option here, he has 5,145 yards and 32 touchdowns. And in that span, I think that's the best any Cowboy has done in Cowboy history as a receiver. Yeah. Since CeeDee Lamb joined the NFL, those numbers have consistently been towards the top of the receiver charts for the last 4 years. So domination by CeeDee Lamb, whether it's this scheme or that scheme, this receiver with him, Cooper and Gallup, or now, you got Brandon Cooks by his side, and some Jalen Tolbert's in the mix. But my point is, CeeDee Lamb can hold up through whoever. Whether he's the first, second, or third guy, whoever's next to him, he dominates. So the last thing I'm going to say is, what if CeeDee Lamb holds out? It's going to be similar to Zach Martin. All right? Similar, but Zach Martin not getting paid as much as CeeDee Lamb.
So more Zach Martin and not Zeke? Just saying, because a handful of comments even earlier in the chat or something have compared that to a Zeke holdout.
I'm just comparing it to the most recent deal. And by the way, Zach Martin actually got paid more money than Zeke. So, I mean, I'm just saying, it makes sense. But the point is, if he holds out, it would move Brandon Cooks to the number one wide receiver position. All right? As far as on the field, in practice and training camp, the number one receiver is Brandon Cooks now. And that's something we don't want to really see. I'm just being real here. Despite all of Cook's success as a number 2 or number 3, he is best suited, at the very least, to be a solid second option rather than a number 1 receiver. So already, when you no CeeDee Lamb on the field, it's going to hurt us in a major way on offense. What about the rest of the receiving core? After Cooks, unanswered questions. We talked about Jalen Tolbert, who has not been proven to be consistent yet. He had a shitty first year, a much improved last year, but we don't know what this is. A question mark still this year. And again, there's also new faces trying to make this roster. You also got, what's his name? Jalen Brooks also trying to make a run. But again, a second-year guy, 7th-round pick last year. So not a lot of question marks. You don't have CeeDee Lamb. Brandon Cooks, your number 1, should not be that. And then number 2 is a question mark. Number 3 is a question mark. And all the way down the list is a bunch of question marks, a bunch of rookies, undrafteds, guys who have 4 catches in their careers in the NFL. Not a good sign. If no CeeDee Lamb, we're screwed. We're over a barrel. And CeeDee Lamb knows it. And this is what the Joneses do all the time. They screw up contracts. They screw up these things. So a potential holdup by CeeDee Lamb would have a domino effect on the entire offense, leading to a significant downturn in production on the field. The offense will not work the same. You can blame McCarthy, but that's because there's no CeeDee Lamb. You can blame Dak Prescott. You can do that. The haters will. Don't matter. You don't have the number 1 guy there catching that ball. So without CeeDee Lamb on the outside or in the slot, defenses will not fear the Cowboys' passing attack. Now we have a run game that's shaky. We have a passing game that's going to be shaky. We're going to be seeing weeks 1 through 7 again next week. Without CeeDee Lamb, we're going to see worse than weeks 1 through 7. CeeDee Lamb was still putting up some numbers last year, even with the shittier offensive scheme. You don't have CeeDee Lamb, you can forget about it. You can dream about Brandon Cooks doing it. He ain't doing what CeeDee Lamb's going to do. So that's one part of things. Of course, the other part is CeeDee Lamb, every day he's going to get fined like $1 million. So or I don't know how much it is, but I know it comes to like, I think Zach Martin had a couple $1 million of racked up fines, which is not done by the Cowboys. It's done by the NFL.
And you can no longer waive those fines.
Yep, you cannot waive them because they're being brought to you by the NFL, not by the team. When the team did that, they can use that in contract negotiations. That's changed in the CBA. We talked about it last year with Zach Martin. And, he had to pay the fines just like, they might give him an extra bonus or something like this, added onto it that doesn't hit the cap as bad, where he can pay those fines off. That can still be done. But, CeeDee Lamb, he's going to sit this out if the Cowboys not give him the extension or give him what he wants. And without CeeDee Lamb, the offense goes down. The offense is done. I don't care about Dak. I don't care about, if Dak is out, the offense is done. You know what I'm saying? If certain guys are out of this offense, you're pretty much in trouble. If you use a Zach Martin and a Tyler Smith, you're done. That's it. I don't care about Dak or CeeDee Lamb now,
Yeah, there's no depth that can come close to replacing what they do. And CeeDee Lamb is unequivocally our number 1 receiver, and there is no other receiver on this roster that can come close to stepping into his cleats. I said it. You do not want your top guys holding out. You don't want that undue tension. Totally unneeded and unnecessary, but it's created by the Joneses. Correct.
In the end, it starts when the Joneses, they back themselves up into a corner where they have no say, and then it looks like the players are holding them for ransom. It's not that way. The Joneses choose this path to be the victims. And then when CeeDee Lamb says, I want to get paid, Jerry Jones says the cap. And then what do the fans say? Get rid of him. I'm already hearing people say, trade him, get rid of him. All right. But again, people then want to blame Dak, and they want to blame McCarthy. But we don't have CeeDee Lamb. So it's just domino effect issue, whether it's Dak out, which he's not going to be. CeeDee Lamb holds out. The scheme is bad, whatever the reason may be. We talk about Jeff Blasco and that run game situation. Whatever it is, you add it all up. You're missing any of these more important pieces, offensive line guys. You're going to be missing a lot for your offense, and it's going to be a difficult season if this is the way we go. So I don't know what the Joneses are trying to do, but it has not worked in the past, and it's not going to work again. And it seems like their minds are made up about making sure this thing lasts into training camp.
Yeah. By the way, hate to burst your bubble there, Jetly44. The Cowboys possibly signing Hunter Renfrow. I just don't see that happening. We won't even sign like our own guys. Currently.
Yeah, listen.
Now, forget about bringing in anybody outside of the organization currently.
I see. Listen.
I'm just being real.
Number one, Hunter Renfrow is not going to become. I don't care. We could get 5 Hunter Renfrows. Our offense will suck. That's what I'm trying to say. People start putting. I don't want people to put like their hopes into the Brandon Cooks, Brooks, Tolbert combo. We're going to find some great bull fucking shit. Hunter Renfrow, nobody even wants him. Like, you get him, you're going to get what? You're going to get a slot receiver that's Beasley-like? Worse? I'm just saying, like, nothing will help this offense. There's no player out there that's going to help this offense like CeeDee Lamb will.
Yeah, unless Renfro's offering to play for free. Like, you get my point?
Listen,
the Cowboys are just not going to...
The Cowboys, you know why the Cowboys won't bring him in? Because they rather work with their own guys. But you got to get CeeDee Lamb in there to work with your own guys, because if you don't, look, CeeDee Lamb is the slot guy. You could bring in Hunter Renfrow, but that's not the answer, right? And I just want to make sure we say this. We said the last 3 weeks, we've been waiting for the Cowboys to make a move or two. I haven't done shit. They signed UFL players. Guys, the Joneses are not going to pay anyone anything. Calais Campbell for a veteran minimum, $1.2 million and a little like $500,000 in signing bonus. Mm-hmm. That's too much for the Cowboys, and that's what we need, a player, interior defensive lineman. So we're not going to pay the bare minimum for an experienced player that can still stop the run. Why would we pay Renfrow $2 million to be our fourth stringer? That will see some slot work, here and there. He's gonna be blah, whatever. We need CeeDee Lamb is the only answer here. And CeeDee Lamb and his agent know this, so why not ask for over $35 million, which is a year, which is what. So you can't blame CeeDee Lamb. I blame the Joneses. I said this year it was unhelpable. This was going to happen with the way the Joneses handled shit last year, where they should have paid CeeDee Lamb $28 million, overpay a little bit last year. Now it would have been a great deal. Mm-hmm. 28 would have been a done deal last year. The Cowboys wanted to play games. They fucked around. They found out. It happens every year. The Cowboys front office, Steven and Jerry, they fuck around and they find out. And what happens? All you do is hurt the team, and still these players get paid what they want. That's it. It's simple as that. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And they use the cap, the pie. They use that as the reason why they can't do this. But we know the pie is a lie. Also, the only other thing I could say is that because they see these numbers going up, guess what the Cowboys will do? Now even our own guys won't matter anymore. You know why? Joneses might just rebuild this shit. They just maybe trade CeeDee Lamb. Maybe just tag Micah a couple of years and then let him trade him or let him go. Dak might not even be extended. So we're gonna be rebuilding, guys. We're gonna you talk about you can't wait to get rid of Dak. Some of you guys. You guys are gonna see what 4, 5, 6 wins a season is gonna look like if we don't bring any of these guys back. And the less we bring back, the less wins we're gonna have. We ain't gonna even smell the playoffs. We'll be rebuilding for the next 3 or 4 years. Some fans want that. I personally don't. But hey, I guess everyone has an opinion on this. Any other opinions in the chat before we close this down tonight?
An opinion / final shout outs here. So guys, make sure to take a second, hit like, subscribe, hit the bell. You guys can follow us anywhere and everywhere at MyCowboysFamily.
And I also want to
hop in the Discord, links down below.
And I also got a shout out as we're getting ready to get out of here. The last 3 weeks, again, vacation. We had COVID. We had a lot, no news. So it's been a 3-week kind of battle for the top spots. But the man who's been representing this for the last 3 weeks is the man. You know his name, the man with the plan, McLovin. He's been our sponsor of the week, back to back, like our '90s Cowboys. McLovin's also the Cash App king for this time frame. And by the way, he's got a extra raffle entry here, a bonus raffle entry, being a weekly winner for the month of June. So he's going to be in this raffle coming up next week for the Star and Over Everything level. Who's going to be another person? We'll find out in a minute. But big shout outs to McLovin. Big shout out to Godless Manitoban, who still got 45 points on that stream boss. And big shout out to Jason Renfrew, who's owned 7 out of the last 8 weeks of domination when it comes to the gifting membership board. When it comes to the leaders, and we're going to crown you guys here at the end of the show, but it might stay the same. So we might have to just go over for a second. Jason Renfrew up by 1 over Skeptical Fan, up by 2 over Harley Dad when it comes to that gifting membership board. So if he takes it down, that'll be 8 out of 9 weeks that Jason Renfrew's been dominating the gifting membership side of things. So when it comes to the Cash App and the overall board, one of our star level members here All the way from Australia, Lincoln Kane will be the champion. He right now has a nice lead on the overall board and the Cash App board. So Lincoln Kane may be taking over, repping that star over everything on both those boards. So we'll see what happens at the end of the show, which is literally, 10 minutes away? About 10, about 9 minutes away. I'm just, go ahead. So hit it up, baby. Hit up the shout outs and the last comments on this situation.
Of course. We have Double R, have a great night.
Yeah.
Scorpio, Ted's caught it. Seabass, much love. Jetly44 representing.
Yeah, they did do the same thing with Dez. You know, we discussed that actually a little while ago on that.
So, rolling, by the way, Godless Manitoban, shout out to you. I do not believe Mr. MCF After Dark will be making an appearance tonight, at least on the official MCF After Dark side of things. Might be just out and about on the YouTube streets.
Yeah, I might appear here and there for half an hour or an hour or something like that if someone's live. But last night you guys messed me up pretty good, and we had a nice little party. But yeah, tomorrow's back to normal work life. So
family day today. So.
Yeah, very late.
Lucky for you. Anyway, let me keep rolling here. We have the man himself, Seabass, of course.
Hell yeah.
Scorpio, much love. Asmodeus representing. See, Mike Aldana, much love. Not exactly something you're proud of. He said the clown show loves to juggle on the minefield. Brandon
Never
J,
good.
have a great night. Take it easy. Double R representing. Lost in Translation podcast, have a great night. Let me see who else is here. We had Stephen White in the house, have a great night as well.
Even
James Hirsch, shout out to you. Burn Bar, of course.
Burn.
Gang.
You know.
Let me see here. I think that's as far back as I can go. Oh, no, here we go. I can go a little further back. Tornado.
Yeah.
Much love. Lord Azen. Take it easy. Have a great night. And, that is actually as far back as it lets me go. So, MCF After Dark.
Always watching.
Stealing my lines.
Always looking. You see God
yes,
saying
maybe with that said.
I wanted to shout out, Tornado, who's back in that Navy Blue Crew membership and gifted a membership today. And Jetly44, who gifted 5 memberships, takes over the top spot. And it looks like he wins it, guys, when it comes to the gifting membership board. So congrats to Jetly44, who now has owned that top spot 8 out of the last 9 times we've done this thing here. So congrats to him. Over 2 months of domination. And he also dropped a little love in there as well. So appreciate you for tonight. Everybody on the After Dark specials, always appreciate the love and support there as well. So it looks like Lincoln Kane wins. Yeah, he's going to win the overall board, which puts him as the weekly winner. So he will get an entry for this raffle. Same thing for McLovin. So we got McLovin and Lincoln Kane, the 2 bonus entries there. Next week we'll do that raffle for the star and over everything. Of course, Seabass in the over everything gets 2 raffle entries, and everybody else in the star gets 1, which Lincoln Kane has 1 in there. So he actually has 2 chances as well, like Seabass, to win this thing. McLovin has 1, and the rest of the star level, you guys get 1 as well. So appreciate you all for the love and support. And again, hang in there with us with a little bit of news every day. Very little news for the last 3 weeks, but also on vacation with our family, COVID, along with the lack of news by the front office and, the disaster. There's the disaster that these fucking front office is going to put us through here. Another year of suffering, a 29th probable year of not winning the Super Bowl, and that sucks. I want 6 and beyond, but the Joneses are making that very difficult with their stubborn, front office and GMing of this team. Very bad. Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, disaster. And they've helped us keep that want 6 shirt alive for 29 years, unfortunately. Anyways, I'm done with that. And any last comments and thoughts before we keep it rolling out of here?
Shout out Juan Carlos. Take it easy. Much love. But yeah, guys, everybody here hanging with us, you know why we do what we do.
Let us, baby. I want you to let us know. Why do we do what we do? Whenever there's news, info, updates on our Dallas Cowboys.
It's that navy blue, that silver too, and that star over everything.
Win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or ugly, here in MCF, we always rep that star. You see it over everything. And guys, I guess officially, we're 7 years in this thing. Into our 8th year. July 1st is our anniversary day here as far as, being on YouTube. So again, I know in the West Coast it's not yet July 1st. So we'll wait to celebrate that tomorrow or the next day. Next time we're live, we'll definitely huge shout out to us here at MCF on this channel for basically finishing 7 years on YouTube on this channel, building this thing up. We just hit over 38,000 subscribers on this channel. We're at 38,100 plus. Keep it. Let's get to 40,000 before training camp. Can we get? I doubt we'll get there, but let's try. Let's get to 40,000 and beyond. And can't do this without you guys, your support throughout all these years, through all the ups and downs on the Cowboys, through COVID, through everything. We've been here, so I appreciate everybody, new and old, the OGs, the new Gs, who've been following and listening and suffering with us, cheering on our Cowboys every day for the last 7 years. And now, officially tomorrow, we'll be entering our 8th year on here, Aikman 8, here on My Cowboys Family. So yes, here, now, and forever. Don't forget, here, My Cowboys Family, the number one thing here, now, and forever, as always. Say it loud. Say it with us. Go Cowboys. Let's get that 6 and beyond, please. Thank you all for dropping the knowledge in the chat all night long. All night. Thank you guys for that. Thank you guys also for dropping the love from above, mostly in the gifted, and joining the membership side of things. So truly appreciate you guys there. And on the After Dark, of course. Big time shout out there to everybody on that side of things. And as we roll forward, guys, and close it out for the night, basically, drop out for the night, clock out for the night, and relock and reload for a new week tomorrow or the next day. And also a new 8th year of My Cowboys Family on YouTube. Baby, before we can officially drop out of here for the night and are ending our 7th year on YouTube, let them know what we got to do before we get on and drop out of here tonight.
We got to drop the beat.
Oh, yeah. That beat's been dropped. It's a wrap here on My Cowboys Family. And again, you guys could be anywhere. You guys are here chilling, hearing us talk and give a nice big wrap up of the last 3 days of our Dallas Cowboys and all the news, info, and updates right here on another MCF Cowboys Chat. Yes. The drama between number 28 Malik Hooker and what he said about Micah Parsons and back and forth. We talked about that. The offensive side, the issues that we had last year a little bit with the run game merging. Yeah, we talked about that, right, Jeff Blasco? But question mark about what's going to happen with CeeDee Lamb. Sounds like he's going to hold out his training camp. He don't get that extension. It's only going to hurt this offense. That's all it's going to do, Joneses. So get to work. You should have done this weeks ago at the very latest, once we knew Jefferson's contract situation. Anyways, let's get back to the outro on here on MCF. It's about that navy blue, that silver too, and that star of everything. Never forget the number one thing right here in My Cowboys Family. It's you guys. Thank you all for repping it here. I see you, Scorpio, Azteca, Asmodeus, Jet Li, everyone in the house. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like button for the stream. Hit that subscribe button for the channel. Keep it growing. Hit that notification bell and move it to all videos so you know we're going live. And if you're not sure through here, if there's a YouTube issue, always jump in that Discord. The information is in the description. Definitely follow us on Twitter, X, whatever, at My Cowboys Family. And if you're watching us on the replay, don't just hit the like and all that good stuff, subscribe, but also leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about tonight's show. On that note, closing it down, everybody truly stay safe. We'll see you back here for a new week. And never, ever forget, Go Cowboys!
Monk on the beat.